Comic book fans everywhere, you are now listening to the official Crossover Comics Podcast with your hosts at JJ's Comic Stuff and at Longbox Entertainment.
What is going on, everybody? You are watching or listening to the official Crossover Comics Podcast. My name is Jeremy, or JJ from JJ's Comic Stuff. I am here today with my my co-host, as always, Longbox Entertainment. And we have a special guest today. We've got Nerdtooine, yet another podcast host and Star Wars aficionado. What is going on, my guy?
Oh, just another glorious day in paradise, just prepping for the convention this weekend. You guys are going to one. I'm going to one all by myself.
Well, unfortunately, Longbox is not joining me at C2E2.
Yeah, sadly. Yeah. Work stopped me, guys. It's all good.
Blame the Air Force.
The next one, I'm going to be there. Blame it, yes. Everybody blame it.
Sounds about right. Ruining all the fun.
Yeah. All the fun, man. All the fun. Oh, man, Kyle, it is so good to have you on the show. The fact that we haven't done a Star Wars themed episode is preposterous.
It's a glaring oversight on our part.
This is not right. This is how we make amends, and why not have the biggest Star Wars fan in Crossover Comics on this episode? Ah, brother.
I do want to
ask, dude. It is an honor that you graced us with your presence. Okay, the force is strong right now. All right.
Yes, it is.
All right, but anyway, since this is your first time on the show, we like to make sure that our viewers get to know you. So, how about you tell us your nerd origin story?
Okay, well, I've always been kind of, let's just say, outlandish. Even as a kid, I was a little too rambunctious. So what got me calm was cartoons, and then what taught me how to read was comic books. I wouldn't read. I just wouldn't. And my teachers thought I was stupid. And then my folks are like, no, I mean, he's talking to us in full sentences right now. Like, I don't understand what you mean. And I started reading comic books, and it opened me to a world of possibilities that I didn't even think were possible. And just over the years, what really got me into like being a super nerd was Star Wars. Like, I remember as a kid, probably around 4 or 5, I saw the original trilogy, because I was born in 87, so I'm born after the original, but I was also alive when there were no other Star Wars movies. So that was like a time, and that's part of the issue right now with the Star Wars community. I think too many people forget that there was a time when we didn't have anything but the original trilogy and the books. And now people are complaining about, oh, they didn't show my perfect character. But we have a weekly Star Wars episode to watch. How are you complaining? Like, I mean, it's
that's true. That's
baffling,
true.
Baffling. But yeah, my love of comics is what really started my whole nerd journey.
Ah, beautiful. Do you remember the first comic that you read?
I don't know what issue, but it was a Batman. I do remember it was a Batman. I grew up loving Batman, and then I ended up migrating to Nightwing. I would much rather. I have not read a single Nightwing comic that I didn't absolutely adore. And if I had to pick one character, and I'm more of a Marvel than a DC guy overall. But if I had to pick one character to only read the rest of my life that had to be one Marvel or DC, it'd be Nightwing, for sure.
You're invited to the cookout. I hope you know that. You're invited. You're invited just off of that. Oh, man, because I've had, the similar type thing. Lately now, and I know JJ knows, I've complained about Batman a lot lately. To the point, it's like, I know JJ is like, Longbox, you're just not enjoying the character anymore, bro. But Nightwing has honestly been my saving grace, man. I love Tom Taylor's Nightwing run. So yeah, I definitely understand what you're going through.
Because Nightwing is basically the best parts of Batman, but with a sarcastic, happy-go-lucky outlook on life. Even with all the shit he's been through, he still has he's basically like Spider-Man, but without powers. Like, he just jokes with the people he's knocking out.
I was just about to say that.
He brings this life to the character. Like, you can knock someone out, but he makes a joke about it while he's doing it, and that's what sets him apart from Batman. He's very serious, but like, he also lives life, where something Batman just doesn't do.
I think one of my favorite Nightwing moments that I've read recently was I just had to read Batgirl Year One for an article I was doing. And in there's a moment where Nightwing and Barbara are on like a quote unquote first date kind of thing where they're like meeting for the first time, but it's basically just a crime stopping spree. Like, they're just going from hideout to hideout, busting all these criminals. Mm-hmm. And I was doing that article on Polka Dot Man. He shows up randomly in issue 5 of Batgirl Year One, and all it is him getting thrown through a window and made to sit on the curb and wait for the police officers to get there, while Nightwing and Barbara are literally ignoring him, like, completely. They're just not even acknowledging his presence.
Oh, because it's Polka Dot Man.
The father. The fodder. That's all he is. He's freaking fodder, bro. Like, what?
Yeah. Poor Polka Dot Man.
Well, at least he didn't die like he did in Suicide Squad. Like, he had like the best redemption arc like of any like of those people, and then the second I'm a mother splat, son of a like. Damn.
Yes.
I just started to like him. Like.
So, Nerd, the fact that you mentioned you watched the Star Wars movies for the first time on TV, right? That's actually kind of similar to me. I remember, I think my mom and my stepdad, they had went on some trip or something. You know, couples do, right?
I don't. And, I haven't been one in so long. I couldn't even tell you anymore.
Oh,
retired for the better part of a decade already. Like.
Ladies, you hear that? He's single. He's single, ladies. Reach out to him.
Never was there ever a message sent. No.
Forever alone. I'm gonna be
all
forever
by
alone.
myself.
Oh, man. But yeah, so I was staying at my uncle's house, right? And my uncle, he's a huge nerd, right? He actually got me into like a lot of the stuff that I like that wasn't really comic book related, right? And the original trilogy Star Wars movies were playing on I think it was Sci-Fi, the Sci-Fi channel at the time. And we watched them. It was my first time watching them. I think I was maybe 10 years old, 10, 11, somewhere in there.
And you didn't blink the entire time.
I didn't.
That's what I remember. My first memory of liking movies is after the first time I watched Star Wars. My eyes hurt so bad, and I remember rubbing them and crying and I'm like, why do my eyes hurt? They're like, because you didn't blink for 2.5 hours, you crazy bastard. Like, I'll take this.
Yeah, man. I was glued in. Glued, and you got to think about it. Like, we watched the whole original trilogy in one night. So I'm just like, oh my gosh.
So that's like what? Like 9 hours, 9.5 hours, something like that?
Yes. Worth it. Worth every second.
Man, look, I'm telling you, that literally blew my mind as a kid because I was like, whoa, what is this? And then I was a Star Wars fan. I went on like a big Star Wars kick. I remember I had my mom buying me like action figures and stuff. I bet she hated that because she was like, oh my gosh, this kid is into something else. And now I have to spend money. Another thing. Yeah, exactly. And man, it's just beautiful. And I love, to me, the core thing of Star Wars is family, you know, that you have these people that might not necessarily be blood related, but they come together and they do such great things and they love each other and they care about each other and they just build a big family. And that always gravitated towards me with Star Wars because my family means the world to me. I'm a big family guy, and Star Wars just does that. And man, I love it. I love it. So like, honestly, what really gravitates you to Star Wars? What was like, wow, this is why I love this fandom property so much?
So initially with the original trilogy, it was the fact that, because I always viewed Luke as this loser that like was kind of clumsy, and like the fact that he was the hero. The fact that this little loser, I want to go to get some Tashi Station to get some power converters, is literally the guy who saves the universe. And something about that, like, it just, like, and, you know, after seeing the prequels and everything, we know obviously it was a preordestined type thing where he's a Skywalker, so of course he was going to be the savior of the universe. But initially when I first saw it, it was like, this nobody is just saving the universe. And then when they revealed, like, Vader was his dad's like, oh, no, what? Like, I remember seeing that for the first time and having my entire, like, existence just shatter. Like if it was like a movie, they would have broke away to like an anime cutscene where my body literally broke apart like a mirror, like just like shattered. I was like, I remember like, and when he searched your feelings, you know it to be true. I was like, oh my god, it has to be true. He wouldn't lie about something like this because this is the most painful that he could possibly say right now. And I remember like that like the twist. Like I didn't see him coming. And who I am now, it's funny that I love that so much because all I do now is try to figure out what things are coming. And I think it all started because I couldn't with Star Wars. Like, there's no way you could have predicted Vader was their parents, or that they were brother and sister. Like, even up till the very last little bit, like, it's like, they still got me. Like, oh my god. Like, and now I'm like, I literally dissect every little screen, like, okay, this is, I figured it out! Like, and I think it started from there. Honestly, that literally dawned on me just now. I was like, wait a minute. Son of a bitch. That's where it's from!
Yeah. I mean, dude, Star Wars like kicks off a whole nother thing. Like I remember when me and my wife, we were dating, and I had her go through like these trials. Basically, it was think of it like the Jedi, trials. Like you're a Padawan right now. You do these trials. We can cut off the braid. You could become a knight, right? And one of them was, I was like, hey, we gotta watch like the Star Wars movies, and she had never saw them, and she's like, oh my gosh, like I don't know if I'm like them, like blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, babe, just watch them, okay? Now to this day, she keeps me informed on when a new Mandalorian episode is about to drop, or when a new trailer for something, like she sent me the trailer to the new the sequel to Fallen Order, Jedi Survivor game. She sent that to me, so I'm like, dude. So now she's really into Star Wars, and it's just crazy. And I think it's something that a lot of people don't give a chance to at first, but once you do, I feel like people really, really enjoy Star Wars, and it's such a beautiful thing. It's space fantasy, as JJ would say.
Yeah, no, it's literally a Western set in space that is told more like an opera. Like that's literally what it is, and
with a samurai
it touches
story
on
thrown in on top of it.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Mm-hmm. Well, because I think that's why Star Wars speaks to so many different people in so many different ways, is because it's really some of the biggest like tropes that we all subconsciously don't even realize are tropes rolled into one, and then and then just gave it to us in this beautiful wrapping with pew 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 pew, and you know what I mean? Like it found the right things to hook in kids and even parents. Like, one of my favorite episodes of that 70s show is when they go see it for the first time, and then Red and all of them are like, "Oh, we're gonna go see it. Let's see what all this fuss is about." And then even Red, when they hit the light, the light speed, he goes, "Whoa." All right, and then starts, like, you can see him go, okay, this is actually kind of cool. Like, it spoke to so many people, and I think that is also part of the problem with the Star Wars fandom, is that there are so many people that find this appealing that it is also at times one of the most toxic fandoms I've ever been in.
100%.
That is true. Yeah.
Like, I
There's
was
a reason
on
I don't make
Facebook
videos on
many
Star
years
Wars
ago.
stuff.
Yep. Well, I was
Same
in
here. Yeah.
a big Facebook group many years ago. I was doing live shows before TikTok and Instagram and everything. All this stuff came out. We were going live. I was doing shows every Sunday with thousands of people watching. And I just got tired of talking about what they wanted me to talk about, so I left. The creator of that page literally was reaching out to me and with death threats, and had hundreds of people send me literal death threats. Like, "We know where you are. We're going to come get you." And, that I'm not worried about, because let them come. I have weapons
Keyboard
strategically
warriors.
placed in every single place of my house.
Shotty ready, baby.
Oh, no, no,
Shotty
oh,
ready.
no. Guns are too quick. You can't savor all the little emotions. That's why I use a knife.
That's right. That's right.
But, like, no, but the fact that it hurt so many people literally made me get off social media for almost 4 years. Like, if it wasn't for the pandemic, I still would be off social media. It was when the pandemic hit where I was like, you know what? I got a lot of shit to say, and I had predicted so many things right. I'm going to make an account. Screw this. And I just started and just expanded from there. And
Right.
I am so happy that I made the journey back, because, I mean, what I've been able to accomplish in the last 2 years is really remarkable. I mean, all of us. I mean, we weren't doing this 2 years ago.
No.
You know what I mean? Like,
I've been
talking
doing
about
this
Star
slightly
Wars
over a year.
like, talking about Star Wars on an
yeah.
online podcast, that was not something we were like, you know what, that's what I'm going to do on my Sunday night. You know what I mean? Like, that's just not something that would have even came into play. And it's, for me, I'm so happy I made the jump back in, because it's just been a great ride since.
Yeah, like, it's to really, like, hone in on how, like, all fandoms have, toxic people in them. There is some toxicity in all fandoms, right? And I do feel like the Star Wars fandom, it does have a kind of a bad name at the moment, especially with how toxic it can get. Mm-hmm. And even, like, with myself, I've experienced that toxicity before. That's basically why I don't really talk about Star Wars on my TikTok like that. Because I'm a fan of the sequels, actually. I do see the problems with them. I don't think they're perfect films, but I never thought any of the trilogies were perfect. You know what I'm saying? But I liked them, and I felt like, because those movies do mean a lot to me. Like, which was The Force Awakens was one of the first movies I saw with my half brother after we had first met, bro. You know what I'm saying? So that means a lot to me.
Yeah.
Force Awakens was the first Star Wars movie I got to ever see opening night in a theater.
Oh,
yes.
Nice.
Same.
I've seen all the other ones, you know what I'm saying? I've seen the prequels when they first came out in theaters, but not on opening night.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Which is a completely different experience than going to see even
the most
opening
fun
weekend.
I've ever had in a movie theater.
Yeah, it's so much fun. It's
the
like
entire theater was packed wall to wall with people,
Yep.
Yes.
and everybody had the same reactions at the same time. That that music hit, dude, and everybody stood up and screamed. Like,
yes.
And I think that's
like,
also
it's
part
such a
of it,
moment.
because, like, if first time if you're sitting down, you're gonna go, well, we're gonna watch Star Wars, and they're just sitting there like, all right, let's watch this, and all of a sudden, whoa, oh. And also, it has one, it's actually had to, like, get this approved. They don't have a normal entry into the movie like every other movie in history. Because and Lucas actually fought for this. Like, he was like, no, it has to open with the crawl. But that's not how movies are done. this is how this movie's going to be done. Like,
right.
And
that's how Star Wars is done.
Right. And that just sets it apart on its own. And to your credit, we were talking about how you liked it, but you see the problems. The biggest issue with the Star Wars fandom more than any other fandom is that if there's an issue, that takes precedent over anything else that's good. Like, for me, if you look at a movie like The Clone Wars, for instance, it really is not a very good film. But
it drives the
that
plot.
ending, that too, but that ending with Yoda fighting for the first time
made the whole movie worth it.
Exactly. And I can sit back and enjoy a movie for a payoff like that every single time. And like I said,
right.
You can like a bad movie. It doesn't have to be an Oscar-winning movie for you to go, I like that. I mean, like, and that's the problem with the Star Wars fandom is that if it's not perfect, they're up in arms like, let's cancel. This is horrible. Let's go. And part of the issue with the sequel trilogy is that's exactly what happened. And they they scrapped their whole plan because if what initially was planned for the third movie would have happened, there would have been a whole different ball game. I mean, like, I've seen like War on freaking oh wow, the main planet. Why am I not drawing a blank? Where the Jedi Temple is. Coruscant. Like an actual war on Coruscant led by Finn. Like, I'm sorry, give me that. Like, that would have been perfect, but because of the complaints of The Last Jedi, they were like, fine, we'll fire him and we'll just give it back to JJ and let him do whatever he wants
out there,
to do.
you hear that?
And you know what? That's one thing I really want to talk about, because Finn's character, because I'm gonna be real. Like,
they did him so dirty. I'm so sorry.
They did him so dirty.
Like, so sorry. I'm not sorry.
Finn, yes, yeah. I mean, and you're definitely right because Finn meant
sorry
a lot
for the actor,
me,
not for the producers of the movie.
Correct.
Exactly. Yep. Because Finn meant a lot to me because, like, as a black kid, seeing a younger, Star Wars character, because from the only black characters, we always saw Mace Windu. He was always older. Lando was older. Yeah. I couldn't really relate to them. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So Finn was like the first one where I'm like, oh my gosh, like, he's not that older than me, you know what I'm saying?
Honestly, he's probably your age in the movies. You know what I'm saying? Think about how old a stormtrooper probably lasts. Is probably not much more than 25, 26. So
Exactly. So I'm like, oh my gosh, like he felt like me. And then the fact that you can definitely see in Force Awakens, they were setting it up for him to be a Jedi.
Yep.
That would have been such a great story. Having a stormtrooper leave, the Empire or the First Order in that case and become a Jedi. That would have been so awesome. And then lead the Star Wars movies, especially as a black main protagonist. Mm-hmm. Man, that would have blown my mind. And I know I always say, like, we shouldn't get mad at a project just because we didn't get what we wanted. But, bro, that still kind of hurt me because I felt like I was set up.
Well, so in this case, I think it's a little bit different. One, for the biggest reason is how they promoted it initially for The Force Awakens. Like, it was almost obnoxious how much they were showing him with a lightsaber, especially looking back now when he barely got to use one. And yes. It's not that you didn't get what you wanted. You didn't get what we deserved to see in a true story arc because of the toxic fandom losing their shit over little issues that they had with the Last Jedi. The Last Jedi, I actually, when I first saw it the first time, I walked out of the theater going, that's better than Empire. That's the greatest Star Wars movie ever. And then I watched it again and was like, okay, no, it wasn't, but it was still very entertaining. And the fact that they had to walk back because the biggest thing for me that made the movie not only good to me was honestly took it to a next level is when we realized Rey wasn't anyone special. She is now this new chosen one just because the Force deemed it, not because she had Skywalker blood, Kenobi blood, or Palpatine blood, but then because of JJ, they went back and changed that. And, that, and I say this with a lot of things that, many times a cool scene or a funny joke is put into movies and the plot and the story is sacrificed for it. In this instance, we have to have a Palpatine standoff. That was the way they did that was just because they had backed themselves in a corner, had nowhere else to go. And the fact that they had to do that, and it's almost exclusively because of the fan backlash. Like, almost exclusively. Yeah. I'm sure they may have had doubts or, whatever. You can argue that there's other things involved, but it was because fans were like, we're not seeing the third one, and this is the... Ah! You know what? It's Star Wars. You were a grown-ass man yelling at the screen because you didn't like the episode of Mandalorian. Get out of here. Like, what the...
And the fact that, she didn't really need to have Kenobi or Skywalker blood. Because if you look at precedent in Star Wars, now this is obviously taking into account Legends and all the other stuff that Disney has all of just, with the stroke of a pen, said, this is not canon anymore. Even though I don't really like that word, it fits here. But there's precedent for people being chosen by the Force just because.
Yeah. Yep. Well, I do if the fact that the reason why they did it was because obviously they don't own the copyrights because they were all individual writers and it'd just be too hassling to get it all. But what I do like is that they've titled it Legends, and you can almost interpret it as those are legends that are told in the Star Wars universe. And then at times they can find and sometimes they will be able to get certain characters from those and bring them in, like Thrawn. Thrawn was not a original character in anything that Lucas designed. It was these books that made him such a loved character that freaking Filoni was like, right? I'm gonna put him in there. Like, I'm sorry, this guy's amazing. We're using him, and then so that's why if they had to remove all of it. At least they gave it a term like Legends, so it can be maybe someone told a story about that character, and maybe it shows up later, and we get to see it. But I mean, it could be a lot worse. That's I mean, it'd be almost impossible to get all the rights to all those characters from the extended universe.
100%.
Because Lucas was basically like, as long as you want to do it, go ahead, have fun, bye.
Well, not only that, but a lot of those writers, you can tell that they actually paid attention to what the previous author did, because so many of those books, if you actually set them down, they're not written in order chronologically, but if you sit them down and try and piece it all together, you can see a timeline of Star Wars over the course of 100,000 years, which is an insane amount of plot to draw from.
And they're honestly really good books. I own the Thrawn trilogy, all three of those books. And I love those. I read those every so often. I would pick them up and read them.
The Sith Lord Chronicles are all good too. They are
Darth Bane,
the whole history of the Sith, basically. A lot of people don't realize that the Sith wasn't originally an order; it was actually a species.
Race,
there was a whole race of aliens called Sith on a planet.
And the Jedi weren't always the Jedi; they were the Jedi. I don't know if that's how you actually say it, but it's JED I-I. It's and that's the thing. That's what I really like about Star Wars too, is that they somehow George Lucas had this idea to set it in a galaxy far, far away. And whatever reason, they have been able to make such an expansive universe and never really create issues and timelines, because you could just say it's a different part of the universe. You know what I mean? I don't think that anyone really thought that
the galaxy far, far
exactly.
away.
I don't think anyone at the time was thinking that out of there. Even with Star Trek, it's still there was basically it was a UN, but they just had random planets. There wasn't the extent of. There are worlds that are still not charted, there. it's to this day. I mean, up until Grogu, we had nothing about Yoda's race besides Yoda and Yaddle. That's it. And Lucas did it on purpose. He did not want it
for like what 30 seconds, if that.
Yep.
Yeah, Yaddle. We don't really like see.
We didn't even
like
get
that.
a name
like,
confirmation on Yaddle until the end credits.
Yep.
Yeah. So, I mean,
actually, I'm gonna say for me, I think it was an action figure. I think it was an action figure for me.
But like, and you know, that was one of those things I was always so guarded. Like, if you even go on the Star Wars databanks, like the official Star Wars databank, and look up his species and planet of origin, it literally says unknown. Like,
it doesn't say anything.
The Star Wars databank doesn't know the answer. Like, I mean, and I am almost glad that when Din returned him to his people, it was a Jedi and not the home planet, because that allure of rareness, I think, is what also sets Yoda and Grogu, for that matter, apart from a lot of heroes in like most tales of heroism. You know, like there's not too many people that are one of a kind, or close to, at least. You know, and
True.
And to have them be as long living as they are, I mean, literally, they have set themselves up to do a new 200 to 500 year period where Grogu is alive as a Jedi Mandalorian. Like, I mean, like they literally could, if they
Yoda
wanted
died
to.
At 800, right? He was 800 years old.
900. He died at 900. And he was a full Jedi Master training younglings and apprentices at 100. Grogu's 50. Well, 53 now with the time jump that they created. But still, I mean, we're not far away from where he should be, like, beating up the entire Mandalorian cult that's there with the Force and using the Darksaber. Like, he's not far from literally being like, say something to my dad one more time, and I will crush your damn skull in your helmet. Like, don't play with me. I am Grogu. You know who I am. You see what I can do. Like,
yes.
I'm dying. I'm waiting. So I'm like, oh my god, to think of like what they could do.
Dude, imagine what he would look like. Like, I'm thinking like an older Grogu. Like, imagine he has like a Mandalorian like armor on, with a lightsaber. Oh my god!
The only issue though is what's gonna happen to his ears, because it ain't gonna be able to fit in the Mandalorian helmet unless they make one specifically for his ears.
Make it, yeah.
Unless
they can't make him a helmet.
Oh, I'm sure they can.
I mean, they can make it for the ears. Like, the ears
it would be the first one, because I mean, to my knowledge, and I could be wrong, so someone can correct me. I don't think there are any non-humanoid Mandalorians. The only one that you can technically
is humanoid, because the definition of humanoid is just bipedal, human-like structure. So I mean, he's got 2 arms, 2 legs, a head, and a neck, and a torso. So I mean, it seems pretty human-ish.
Let me try this again.
It's just a really short.
To my knowledge, there has never been a Mandalorian that didn't look like people from Earth.
There we go. Yeah.
And I could be wrong.
Yeah, they are normally of the
much
human
lore
species specifically
of Mandalorians. But like everyone thinks that the Mandalorian is Din. It's not. It's Grogu. Because the Mandalorian was the first Mandalorian who created the Darksaber. When they talk about the Mandalorian, the one who wielded the Darksaber, the only Jedi to be a Mandalorian, that's who they're talking about. I mean, Din, he got the Darksaber, but he can't use that thing very well. I mean,
that was super heavy for him.
Well, and they talked about that in Rebels, that it's part, like, if you're not, like, I can't remember how it explained it, but it was mostly like, if you don't feel the power, it like is the heaviest thing ever. And then that's why or understand the power or the weight of the actual blade that you're holding. Like, it's something about, like, understanding what it is that you actually have. And Din, at this point, just sees it as something he can fight with. Where that's why when Bo grabbed it in the last episode, she picked it up and wielded it like it was a feather because she knows exactly what it is and exactly the power that it brings. And technically, she technically won it right there. I mean, to be honest.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't understand why we're not talking about that, because the freaking whatever that thing was defeated Din, and then she defeated it. Therefore, transited property, she's now the proper owner of the Darksaber. And I don't know why it was just like, okay, here, Dan, you can have your amazingly powerful saber that I need to do what I've wanted my whole life. But here you go. I just saved your life too, by the way, twice actually. So I hope you don't mind. You can just have it back. It's fine. No worries. No big deal. It's fine. It's fine.
Well, because like the Darksaber is one of the few weapons in Star Wars that you actually have to like. It's something you have to fully actually, like, not necessarily, like, know how to use, but you have to understand the nature of the weapon in order to use it properly.
Yeah.
That goes like back into, like, the whole samurai thing that is heavily influenced on Star Wars, because that's the thing they believe in. Like, you have to become one with your weapon, and it has to be an extension of you. And if it's not going to work.
I also think the most people who used it primarily as a two-handed weapon more so than any other lightsaber,
like a katana.
Yeah, like I'm trying to think, because for the most people who used it, even Maul, he would dual like both hands on it to use it. I mean, he also had his red one, so he dual wielded as well. But like, yeah, that's now I'm thinking about it. It's used more, and it's honestly shaped more like a katana than any other Star Wars weapon.
Yeah, it is, especially the blade. The way the blade has that point to it, and the way how it's like shaped. Yeah,
I remember when I first saw that. Oh my god! In Rebels, I remember seeing that shit. I was like, "This is the coolest weapon I have ever seen in my life."
Dude, I remember like when I saw it was pre Vizsla, right? Pre Vizsla doing the whole Death Watch stuff. Yep. Man,
wait, that was
when I saw that as a kid, I was like, oh yeah, it was Clone Wars. Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Once you said that, I was like, wait a minute, no, it was Clone Wars. My bad.
Oh my gosh, it was, yeah. Oh man, dude, I was like, bro, there's a saber and it's black.
Yo,
what? Like,
and I remember when I heard it was gonna be in The Mandalorian, I was like, how the hell are they gonna do that live action? And they did it. I don't know how. I still don't understand it. Like, it doesn't. Like, in theory, it should not work in CG. Like what they did, like it's literally like basically a saber of darkness that glows.
I can picture white. In my head how they might have done it, like technical wise, but I don't think I would be able to reproduce something like that. Like that is like they developed whatever
it's an item that really
they
shouldn't
used
exist
for that. That's what I'm saying. Somebody developed a piece of code specifically for that effect alone. Like something was made special.
I mean, whoever it was,
how it could be done, but I don't think it could be done easily with what I know how to do or with what most people would know how to do. Like
that is true.
They better be getting paid.
True. And actually, since we mentioned the influences that George Lucas took to create Star Wars, I know we mentioned, samurai films and westerns, and you can obviously see those influences a lot. Actually, Star Wars actually brought me into the world of samurai films, especially Akira Kurosawa.
Yep.
And
which is heavily
one of his films
inspired Star Wars.
Yes. One of his films, The Hidden Fortress, which is really, really good. It's a really good film. The Hidden Fortress is basically about these two guys. They have to find this warrior to rescue this princess.
What does that sound like?
That is literally Star Wars. Okay, the two guys are R2-D2 and C-3PO. They need to find the warrior who is Obi-Wan Kenobi, but whatever. And then they have to rescue the Princess Leia. That is the plot synopsis of The Hidden Fortress. And you can see it. And that got me into samurai films. And I started watching, films like Sword of Doom, Throne of Blood, a whole lot of stuff. So is there anything for you two that your love of Star Wars have brought your attention to another type of fandom before?
Welcome to Smells Popcorn, where I start the discussion.
Want to know some more fun facts?
Isn't it awesome to see some of your favorite content creators and favorite people, honestly, if you follow here on this app, be a part of this amazing community called the Nerd Initiative?
The Nerd Initiative presents the Comic Press Podcast, hosted by JJ's Comic Stuff.
Well, actually,
Honestly,
it wasn't until recently though. Like, because I was never a big fan of westerns at all. But with The Mandalorian, especially the one where what's his name comes back, where he walks up, the bounty hunter, blue face, Cad Bane. When Cad Bane came back, that whole scene, I'm like, oh, that's cool as shit. And I'm like, that's literally homaging every Clint Eastwood movie ever. And I'm like, you know what? Let me go back and start. Yeah. I'm gonna go watch some westerns, because I never really got now I'm like, some of these are amazing. Like, never would have given it the time of day. Like, would not have given it the time of day if it wasn't for The Mandalorian. Because, like, this, and why The Mandalorian works so well, more so than any of the other properties that are great, but this is so close to the roots of Star Wars that while it's a whole new story, it feels identical to the rest of the established story. Even back to the practical effects as much as they can, and you know, the one hero that has to go stop the bad guy. Like, he may go on side quests all the time, but basically Din is basically stopping the rise of the New Order, or the First Order, without even knowing it. Yeah. Like, that's basically subconsciously, whether the Force or whatever, he's basically the reason why it didn't start sooner. Because if he never shows up and finds Grogu, and they do, because they've been sending people, like, they just happen to find the one guy who could do it, and then they grew a heart in like half a. He saw that finger and was like, "Never mind, I can't. Nope, this is mine now. This is mine. This is mine. I'm sorry. I've claimed this as my own. It's now a foundling, and that's all there is to it. But like, nope." Even though we handed him over, like, the second, what are you gonna do with him? Bitch, did you just ask what we're gonna do with him? That's not how this works. Like, I knew right then. I was like, he about to kill everybody and take that little baby. Like, he about to kill everybody.
So for me, basically, Star Wars jump-started 90% of all my nerdiness, because that was the first thing, besides very early in my childhood, watching episodes of Star Trek Next Generation with my grandparents, but I didn't really understand what I was watching back then. But Star Wars got me into space. Yeah. Just in general. Video games, fucking documentaries, any of it. Like, anything that had to do with space, to the point where there is a huge freaking space tapestry up behind my nerd shelf. Like, everything comes back to that. The video games I play, the movies I like to watch, the comic books I like to read, even. Like, it all comes back to outer space, and that all goes originally all the way back.
Alien Invasion,
Yeah, like, a lot of stuff I recommend to people is, like, outer space comic books and shit. And it had to have all started with Star Wars.
Yeah. And it's just crazy. Like, even I'm thinking of, like, other influences of certain stuff, like the fact that we're talking about The Mandalorian. The Mandalorian is basically a Western version of Lone Wolf and Cub. You know? I don't know if y'all ever seen that, but that was a set of Japanese samurai films where it was the lone warrior and he had his son with him, and they went on a quest. And that's, like, basically, you know, The Mandalorian. And I just love how Star Wars just feels like its own little thing, but it has multiple different genres within it, you know?
Yeah.
Well, and with Mandalorian, it's funny because the actual Mandalorian characters started in Knights of the Old Republic. The Mandalorians were a race that were at war with the Republic in the video games. And that's
they
where
always
that
had a war with
turbulence
somebody.
starts.
Man.
But that's what gives me hope for the future of Star Wars movies, because I'm like, they've brought in certain things from certain other properties of theirs.
Yeah.
So that means we could get Revan. We could get, the original Jedi and Sith wars. We could get there's this stuff that could happen because they've opened those doors just a tiny bit here and there.
True.
So that in the original scripts, and they actually even filmed it digitally, the son and daughter in one of the final arcs of the Clone Wars, the evil one was actually initially talking to Revan and Darth Bane through the dark side of the Force, and they were the ones that were instructing him what to do, and said that Anakin was the key. The Skywalker is what he said specifically. Whoever controls Skywalker controls the universe, and they shot it and everything, and then they ended up taking it out. And there was also another scene that Revan was also supposed to show up in the Clone Wars as in a flashback. The problem with Revan is when the non-Star Wars fan looks at him, they're just going to think a Mandalorian now. And that's problematic because
I disagree.
And I mean, there's so many people who are more than just the novice. But when Star Wars, when they pick people like items and things now, at least to bring back, it's something that stands out. Like they brought back Thrawn, a blue dude. You know what I mean? They brought back the Mandalorians with the crazy armor. And then. I think too many would just automatically assume that it's a Mandalorian. Like they'll think that's the Mandalorian from Legend. Like look, he's got two lightsabers. He's got the Mando mask. Yeah. And it just wouldn't work marketing wise.
Right now, I see that issue. Now I countered that theory with this one. If you were to take the storyline that's presented to you in that video game, the original Xbox video game, Knights of the Old Republic, and break that story down, the parts that we don't get to see in the game, which is like all the background information and the backstory, plus the game, plus the immediate events after the game, you've got a brand new trilogy right there. That story is one of the best stories in Star Wars, period, hands down. If you've never played that game, go back. The graphics are horrible by today's standards.
Oh, god awful.
But the story is amazing.
No, absolutely, 100%.
Like that's one of the few games where I did not see the twist in that game coming until it happened. I may have realized it like right before, but I was like, oh.
I'm thinking
crazy.
now though with
never played
the High Republic. The High Republic might have messed that up.
No, because High Republic takes place about 20,000 years before that.
Oh, okay.
So that takes place about 2,000 years before the events of Episode 1 is the video game.
The High Republic, yeah.
When with High Republic, that takes place 10 to 20,000 years before the game. So before the Old Republic. That the High Republic is prior to that. No. I looked it up
because
recently
the High Republic is leading up into the Acolytes, which is supposed to lead up into start of the prequels. I'm gonna have to get back to you on that.
I don't know. That's something we can definitely double check, and somebody can yell at me if I'm wrong in the comments for sure.
Right?
Somebody let us know. We want to know, please. Somebody.
But I think that's it. But even if they were to mess it up with High Republic, High Republic, they could always say is an alternate timeline or, like an alternate universe or something of that nature. But again, there's so much unexplored content in Star Wars. Who's to say what would and wouldn't derail things? Because there's literally so much that's not talked about and so much that could be happening all at the same time. Like with the whole galactic civil war, there might be a side of the galaxy where the Jedi didn't even know what was going on. Like, what was that noise? Like,
I want
like
Mara
they just
Jade.
never knew about it because they're too far away.
That's all I want.
Ooh, that would be cool.
Luke's daughter, right?
No, his wife.
No, his wife. His wife. That's
his
right.
wife, who started out as the hand of Palpatine. Like the assassin of assassins with a purple lightsaber and red hair. Give it to me now. right now. That's what I don't care about. Like, I would love to see other Star Wars stuff from the EU, but that's the only thing I want. and I feel like with how kind of dirty they did
forever.
But like the biggest reason, like besides my selfish reasons, because that's kind of like my type to the key, but how dirty they kind of did Luke in the sequel trilogy, because that was my biggest complaint about the sequel trilogy was the assassination of Luke's character. Like that scene that literally turned Ben to Kylo Ren, that broke my heart. When I tell you, I legitimately started weeping in the theater when I saw it, because to me that was Luke Skywalker dying.
Yeah, no, in my head, that's not something Luke Skywalker would have ever done.
No. And the argument, oh, well, he didn't kill his father, so he's going to try to do it. He's going to kill him. Like, no, it would not have worked.
But he changed his mind, though. He changed his mind. Like, he wasn't
after he got his death blow was blocked.
He thought about it.
Not by Luke.
He swung.
Not by Luke.
He thought about it.
No, but like,
I always look at The Last Jedi as like The Dark Knight Returns, but for Luke Skywalker. I don't know.
So like it was brave. That's the problem. Like people complain about Star Wars being too similar, and then when someone has the balls to not be, they crucify him. And that's how it's all. Like initially when the Clone Wars came out and Filoni gave Anakin a Padawan, the internet, for what it was at the time, lost its collective mind. How dare you give him a Padawan? This is blasphemy. This isn't my Star Wars. And then
the Yahoo.com forums were vicious, man.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I'm sorry. Because
this was
on
like,
AOL.
This was like 99,
okay,
or like, no, this was like, 2002?
Watch it, Yahoo boy.
Oh, my God.
We are so aging ourselves right now, and it's kind of beautiful.
It is. I mean, look, bro. I remember the old Clone Wars series, like the one.
Yeah, the hand-drawn one that wasn't all nice in 3D. Yeah. The one that wasn't very good.
The single most badass Mace Windu scene ever.
It did have the best Mace Windu scene ever, though, for sure.
That was the most badass thing I like. The fact that was never really like recreated in like the Clone Wars again, like the series, is blasphemous.
Yes.
Like I said, don't say never, because they've left the door open for so much. They opened the door just a tiny bit and brought Thrawn in from the Legends content. Then they opened up the door and brought in the Mandalorian content from Knights of the Old Republic. So I'm very hopeful, because they are pulling these little things here and there that they've got, and it's like, you're making me want shit more. I don't like it.
Yeah.
I didn't want for nothing, and now here I am. Come follow these breadcrumbs.
Right, exactly.
They're definitely teasing.
Maybe by the time I'm 60, I'll see Revan on the big screen.
Episode 94.
Bro.
Soups is still pissed.
Actually, you know what? We're gonna make a crossover comics retirement home, and we're all just gonna be there.
Oh my God! Could you imagine field trips to go see the new movies that release? Could you just imagine that
bus hopping off the old people bus with the IVs and the walkers and the oxygen tanks?
I'm dressed
still in
Yoda
t-shirts.
Yoda. I'm cosplaying as Yoda.
Stash is still gonna have his mustache.
It's just gray and silver now.
It's just gray and silver. And, oh man.
To the movies we go. Yes.
Oh man.
Gladys, my teeth you.
There it is. Crossover Comics retirement home. There it is.
Right.
Coming soon.
Into the future.
We're accepting donations now, because it's going to take us that long to save up the money to open it.
Who are we kidding? We're never retiring.
You're right.
Oh man.
I'm probably going to be sitting in front of the same blue
stuff
screen
that we're
when
doing. We can
when I'm
sit
50.
down. No, it'll be green by then. Come on.
It's green on the other side.
no,
I just use blue because I wear more green than blue.
Nah, by then what they're gonna do is they're just gonna have like a actual camera that just deletes the background for you. Like,
bro, I want one of those AI walls so goddamn bad.
Dude, yeah.
They're like 80 grand though for like a 10 by 10 one.
Oh, that's it. Hold on, let me get my check.
They're like ridiculous.
Hey, we can get some more viewers. Some more likes, some more subscribers.
So we can get an augmented reality environment wall for ourselves and really give you guys
like and share, everybody.
Content.
Like and share.
You're
please.
welcome. This is
they've been using those.
We're only doing this for you.
They've been using those walls for Star Trek Strange New Worlds, and dude, like they show a bunch of behind the scenes stuff in a couple YouTube videos, and like you can literally, they turn it on and it projects this whole image like around the actors, like they can actually see everything in space where they're standing and stuff.
Yeah.
Like it's so dope.
In a recent interview, because they use the same kind of technology for the Mandalorian. Recently, Katie Sackhoff actually said that, because someone asked her, "When did you realize and actually understand that you were playing Bo-Katan in live action again? That you were in the Star Wars live action?" She goes, "It was probably the first day on set when we were filming." Like part of that final sequence, and she said, "I saw the X-wing fly by," and I was like, "You actually saw it, didn't you? Because of the screens. That's freaking amazing!" Like, that is one of the few times I wish that we would have seen what they their faces. You know what I mean? Like, I love the whole helmet on thing. I think it's so mysterious and awesome.
The size of these augmented wall studios, dude. Like, they're huge. Yeah. Like the one for Star Trek is like 3 stories tall, and it's like, it's the size of a freaking spaceship bridge. Like, it's ridiculous.
They literally, it's literally in like airplane hangars. Like they build those things in abandoned airplane hangars.
All the desks are real. They put all the furniture in there and all the freaking stuff. So like, but it's great for the actors because it lets them get way more into character because they actually feel like they're there. And you're not sitting around with a green screen and everything covered in mats and freaking tarps. You can see it all.
The only other project that I know has used that same technology that wasn't Star Wars related was the Batman. Matt Reeves used that technology for the Batman.
It's still very new tech.
Things.
Yeah.
So, I mean, but still what they're already able to do with it is fucking insane.
It's absolutely insane. I remember when they announced it with the Mandalorian, I started looking into it. I'm like, this changes everything. Like, you don't have to pay to send people on set anymore. You just fucking load it.
You don't have to spend 2 days setting these things up all over set.
Right.
And moving them and changing them, and you know what I'm saying? Like, making sure all the
you want a desert? No problem. Can you load the program, please? Desert, thank you.
Right, you know just select the correct file, please, on the desktop real quick. Will you bring that up? Thank you.
All right, so we have to travel how long by plane to get to the Sahara Desert? Oh, we can just put the Sahara behind us? Oh. Okay.
Right, add a little bit of practical effects in the front, and you're good to go.
Location anymore. Like, they don't even have to go on location anymore.
Not for a lot of stuff now.
Really.
It's awesome. I absolutely love it.
There's also a movie coming out. I forget what the name of it is. This is completely a way off topic, but it's a movie being filmed completely in vertical format instead of like.
That would,
oh
my God,
so they're trying to.
Like, my brain would literally melt watching that.
like you're watching a TikTok video or something. They're shooting the entire movie in the portrait format rather than the landscape.
Bro, I feel like that would mess me up. I would look at it
I don't know how my brain would melt if it's done well, because think about it, like how many videos a day do you think you watch in that format, though? You know what I'm saying? Like, you probably watch enough content to watch a movie in that amount of time anyway.
That is true.
Yeah, but not on a giant screen.
See, I don't know if they're going to release it on screen. I'm pretty sure they said it's being released exclusively for smartphones and Android devices, or like in tablets.
Oh wow, okay.
Which would make sense because I mean, eventually that's probably
viral marketing, easy as hell too.
I already know more people that don't have a computer anymore than do still have a computer, which is wild to me.
Yeah. It's only people like us who
so
have
many
to use
people
it
that
for like
do not have a
content.
computer anymore. Right. Or for work or school.
Right, yeah.
But like everybody else I know, they have tablets and phones. They don't have a computer no more. They don't want one.
I don't even have a tablet.
That's true.
Oh, yes, I do. But it's an Amazon Prime tablet, so it's not really a tablet.
I've got like a 15-year-old tablet / DVD player. It's old as shit, dude.
So
the only reason why I have a good computer is because I broke my last one. Like,
right. So real quick, since we're getting towards the end of the show, I do want to ask a couple questions to Nerdtooine. So, real quick, favorite Star Wars movie?
Empire. Any other answer is wrong.
Lit.
I'm sorry.
Lit. I stand by that. Yes. Okay. Favorite Star Wars TV show?
Harder question.
So since we have all of it, I'll say Rebels because I don't know where The Mandalorian and all these other shows are going. But if you're talking live action, favorite Mandalorian with hands down, no questions asked.
Of course. Okay. Favorite Star Wars character?
It is a tie between Ahsoka Tano and Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Oh, I love you.
Stop it. Stop.
That's all.
It make me blush. Stop it. But like, so for me, what?
What would your lightsaber color be?
So
you can learn a lot about a person by what color they say.
I want to say purple, but I don't think I'm cool enough to actually get purple. So I would bet that I would be a green saber. I actually have an Obi-Wan Kenobi custom saber with a green blade, so I definitely think I would have a green saber, but if I'm being honest, I'd probably be more Sith-like than anything. So, I mean, that power would corrupt me. I know it would. Like the ability to put thoughts in people's minds, the ability to read people's minds, and all the little intricacies with the Force that a lot of people don't talk about. Yeah, I'm not strong enough for that not to take me. So, if we're talking like the blades from that one episode of Visions where the lightsaber changes colors, it would start purple and then realize I'm not cool enough for it, then go green, and then eventually turn red.
That's the most honest answer you'll ever get out of anybody ever.
That kyber crystal is gonna be all out of whack, boy.
It's not even a kyber crystal anymore. Like, it's just dust inside. Like,
oh man.
But yeah, that's the one thing when it comes to Jedi, man. There's so few that actually were good Jedis, really, when it came down to it. From what we've seen, at least in the TV shows, like even Yoda, he was literally corrupted by the dark side. I mean, that's the only reason why the whole war happened, is because him and the entire Jedi Council was literally corrupted by the dark side of the Force, thanks to the Palpatine. Like, so anyone who's like, "Oh, Yoda's the greatest Jedi ever," no, he's not. He let this happen. Like, I'm sorry, the greatest Jedi that we've seen live action is Ahsoka Tano after she left the Jedi Order.
Yes, if you can purify kyber crystals and have white blades, you are the shit. Ahsoka is my girl. That is my girl, okay?
And I get to meet her in like 5 days.
I am jealous as hell. I am jealous as hell. But anyway, since this is cutting it, we're towards the end of the show. Real quick, Nerdtooine, do you want to plug anything, what you're doing, any new projects coming up, anything like that?
I am very, very close to the release of the ash can for my first comic book. It's called Here Walks Monsters. It is a very human story told during a zombie/infected outbreak. And everything is done for the Ashcan. After this weekend, I'm hoping it is going to be picked up by a certain someone that I'm meeting at MegaCon. So hopefully, either way, I'm putting it out myself. You know what I mean? Like, so it's not like it's not going to come out if it doesn't get picked up. But I have a little sit down with someone who might be able to green light the whole project. So I've been holding off on sending it just until then. I'm like, you know what? Let me have this sit down and see what happens. And you know, if that happens. Here Walks Monsters is gonna make The Walking Dead look like a children's tale.
Lit.
And I really hate the fact that I watched The Last of Us, because a lot of the similar like feelings I got watching that is how I feel writing the book. I'm like, these characters are so real, and I'm like, son of a bitch. This is my book right here, but just with freaking fungus instead. I'm like, okay, I'm on to something here. I got it. Let's go. Like, and I'm definitely excited about that. But yeah, I mean, everything crossover comics and Nerd Initiative related. I mean, this weekend's gonna be big for all of us. I mean, some of us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, and what's funny is by the time people are watching this episode, I'm in Chicago.
We'll be there. I'll be because it airs Friday, right?
Yeah, Friday.
Yeah, I'll be in Orlando at MegaCon. What time does it air?
Usually around noon, so it's Sunday right now. It should be out noon Friday.
Because I was like, depending on the time, I might be literally at a 45-minute panel with Donnie Cates and like Stegman and all of them. I was like, if it debuts at 7 p.m., I'll be listening to Donnie Cates talk about
I'll
comics.
be at the that time on Friday. I will be at the Nerd Initiative booth at C2E2, filming other people's Nerd Initiative, Nerd Origin stories.
I just don't understand. I'm so mad at the people who ran both these conventions that they put them on the same day. Like, I'm so hurt by this, because last year I remember going, I'm making it to C2E2, and then I was like, wait, it's the same day as MegaCon? I guess I'm not making it to C2E2. I mean, Orlando's just like a couple hours from me. I'm not gonna. You mean take a plane or take a train? I'm gonna take a train for a couple hours instead of
being in Ohio, choosing to go to MegaCon rather than C2E2. Like it just doesn't make sense gas wise. If nothing else.
The next big con that Crossover Comics and Nerd Initiative decides to go to, Longbox Entertainment will be there, and that is for a fact. Okay,
you heard it here, folks. That means we all get to hold him to it and shame him if he doesn't go.
Hold me. That's right. That's right.
Oh my God.
Right. I'm making it happen. I don't care what I got it. I don't even care if I have to work double shifts. I don't even care. We're gonna make that happen.
And watch. Somehow I don't make it, and then it's like, oh, we had this whole thing. We're all supposed to be here.
There have been whispers of something happening at AwesomeCon, but nothing's been confirmed yet. So
where's that?
Okay,
DC.
Okay, bet. Could probably actually do that. Yeah. That's a good one.
We're all kind of plugged in, so I was gonna say keep me posted, but it's like, I mean, I think we all would be kind of posted.
Yeah, like I said, that was like a whisper of an idea I heard recently, but I don't know if it's anything that's actually being worked on yet or not. So we shall see. But on that note, my name is Jeremy, also JJ. Comic stuff everywhere on social media. Longbox, where can they find you at?
Longbox_entertainment. You can find me on TikTok, Instagram, and now Clapper, which is this new app, clap. And from the assortment of TNA that you will see on this app, that name actually,
starting to make sense.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I get it. You don't understand how out of touch I feel right now. Like I did not when you said it. I was like, "What does he mean?" I feel so old, son of a bitch. On that note, I'm the old grandpa Kyle, aka Nerdtooine. You can find me on all social medias besides that one apparently, because I'm too old for that. Under the same name as here, Nerdtooine. Or if you can't remember that, on IG, Marvel 2K21.
And we'll be sure to leave links and everything in the description of the video for sure. Cody is always really good about that. Shout out Cody Collects for always being the one to post these things and waiting on my slow butt editing them. But on that note, guys, have a great evening. This is the last you will see of me until after C2E2. So be safe, be kind, and take it easy.